right, everybody. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to OneObjective tonight. Guys, we have got a really great show lined up for you. It's a new guest. We haven't ever had this guest on. But James, how you doing tonight, man? We ain't had you for the last
Good.
two shows, man.
I know. It's been busy.
Yeah, it's been we really missed you. Everybody else really missed you. So we're glad to have you back today.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to be back.
So you've been busy. You've been doing the haunted barn rides and chauffeuring.
That's been going on the past couple days. Yeah, I think we pushed almost 700 people through there last night.
Oh wow! I thought you was going to do it tonight.
Yeah, they ended up not doing it tonight.
I got you. Well, that's a good thing for us. We got you on the show, and you was able to catch up on some rest. But now, man, studio's changed, guys. James, this is your first glance when you looked at it today. We got Chris, the man behind the scenes over there. He's I think you're in a lot happier position now. You got more room to work with. How you feel tonight, Chris?
I feel pretty good. I ain't got that little wobbly desk to worry about knocking stuff over anymore.
That old rickety thing. You know that thing wouldn't burn in a woodpile today.
I didn't want to give up.
No. So, anyways, we got Chris all set up. Chris, you went out and got to go do some fishing yesterday. Didn't have as good as luck, but you caught you one.
I went Friday.
Oh yeah, that's right, Friday.
Yeah, I caught one.
Yeah,
managed one.
That ain't too bad though. At least you didn't zero.
Yeah, the only bite I had all day.
Yeah, but it was on the old worm we started using.
Yeah.
What's that? The river? Is it River Rock?
River.
I always say it wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have it. The video I'm going to post up here. I'll be talking about it a little bit. So, but anyways, guys, we're really excited to have this show going on tonight. I was actually wondering if we was even going to have a show. I was struggling to get a guest just for the fact that everybody's got so much going on. It's a lot of stuff that goes on the weekend before Halloween. When people's got kids, there's also other events going on right now, so it was kind of a struggle to even get anybody on, but I was able to make it happen, and I appreciate Scott going to be coming on tonight. But before that, guys, I want to go and thank all our sponsors. As you can see, they're scrolling through on the top here, but also the guys that are listening on iTunes and Stitcher and all the other ones we got, Spotify, all that up there. So I want to thank Bonafide Kayaks, Yak Attack, Falcon, Missile Baits, Biono Power, Hookfish Performance, AccuCoal, Power Pole, and I feel like I'm missing one, James. Did I get them all? I think I hit them.
I think you got them all.
I think I got them. I did a good job on that.
Doug, he didn't have a very good day today. He said he fished 6 hours and got skunked.
Oh, man. Yeah. Today was a beautiful day.
I don't know where he's at, but around here it was windy. I wouldn't have even attempted to go out around here.
No, it was really bad. If you go down a lake or something like it. Well, plus this morning we had a horrible storms come through. James, did y'all have any rain come through just today?
Oh yeah, we got rained out of my kids' baseball game, and we were doing a charity event, baseball tournament. So
yeah,
it got rained out.
But you did get to see a bear today.
I did get to see a bear, a dead one.
Oh, wow.
In the ditch.
Yeah. Right there at your woods, right?
Yeah, it came out of my woods and was crossing the road, and somebody hit it last night, apparently.
Did you make a rug out of it?
I actually thought about it. But
I told him. That's what I sent him today.
A lot of money.
I sent him. I was like, man, you need to make a rug out of that, dude.
What time are we going to call Scott?
Let's call him. We'll call him about 10 minutes. About 9:10.
10 minutes there, Dustin. About 9:10, yeah.
Yeah, we'll call him about 10 minutes. Well, it'll be 9:10. Yeah, sorry, it's 9:05 now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. That was a big bear too. What? It was like, what'd you say, 300 some pounds, something like that?
Yeah, it was like 300 pounds.
He said the head. He was telling me today on text message, the head looked like wouldn't even fit in a big 5-gallon. What'd you say, a 5-gallon bag or a trash can?
At least it was huge.
Yeah,
the head was huge.
You got hit by a car? What happened to the car? I bet it tore the car to pieces.
There was pieces of car laying all over the road, but no car.
I guess they probably didn't want to stop. I mean, you hit a bear. You know what I mean? You don't want to like.
Yeah, I don't want to hang around.
Yeah, let's just keep on trucking, man. Let's go to the next stop.
Yeah, try to anyway.
But now, guys, like I say, we got a lot going on. We've got a lot of questions here lately about our trolling motor mounts, and guys, if you're interested, got any questions whatsoever, please feel free to message James, message me on Facebook. We can answer any questions you got. I know there, everything's new, so people are starting to learn more and more about it. We're getting a lot of good feedback from the people that are using it, and so, like I say, I know we're still updating our website. We're still adding things. We're working on some instructional video stuff to do installs, and but it's a lot going on because we got some other products too that we're trying to roll out and keep everybody happy on the bona fide side of things. So, but just stay with us. You got any questions, anything on the mounts, feel free to message me and James anytime. We work through the day, but if we get time, we'll get back with you and answer any questions you got. So, but like I say, go in there and check them out. Go to OneObjectiveBF.com. We got a lot of products on there right now. Not only are we selling just the OneObjective mounts and the keel protectors and all the other things we make for the bona fides, we also are a dealer for Torpedo and Yak Attack now. We're limited on some of our Yak Attack stuff. We don't have everything, but a lot of the stuff for rigging your boats and all that we got on there. So,
yeah, just hit us up if you don't see it on the site. We can get whatever you need.
Yeah. Just send us a message and we'll get what we can. So, I know we can get pretty much anything. So, guys, we got a lot. It's starting to become show season. We got a couple months. Right now, we're putting on our schedule, looking at going to the Richmond Fishing Expo, possibly having a booth up there. We had a lot of dreams and plans earlier of what we wanted to do with that show, but I don't think it's going to happen. After realize how much booths cost and the size we would need to do all that. So, but we will be up there. We'll be showing off a lot of our products. Plan on having a kayak up there rigged out. Hopefully, some new stuff for the RS that we're in the works of working with. So, but we got a lot. We got a lot coming up. James, I mean, what are you? I know it's still kind of early, but what are you looking forward to next year for us, for OneObjective in a whole?
Oh, that's a big question. Just to keep growing like we are, hopefully, and keep coming out with more and more stuff.
Yeah.
I think we've grown a lot this year, and I hope we can grow twice as much next year as we did this year. So.
Yeah, I think with the support of all the people that follow us, and like I say, we really appreciate all you guys and all that have tagged us. And if somebody asks a question and tag us, and we really appreciate all that. We really do. It means a lot. But for me, I think I'm looking forward to just not really fishing tournaments next year. I mean, that's like that's our first year, to be honest with you, that we haven't fished a tournament in how many years? I mean, from bass boats to everything, we really ain't fished tournaments,
Yeah.
So, I mean, we might fish a couple small ones here and there, but to be competitive AOY kind of competition, I'm just looking forward to going hitting different lakes and just filming.
Just going fishing, yep.
Yep, just having a good time and looking forward to that. So, Chris, I know we were getting close to that time. You want to go ahead and try to call them, see what we got going on there. But, guys, if y'all don't follow the Elite Series or haven't followed FLW or nothing, Scott Canterbury he's been FLW for many years, winning over $1 million, actually $1,308,000 in earnings just in the FLW side, and then coming to the Elite side, he's had a really good season. So, but go in there and check him out. He's got some really great stats. He's one heck of a fisherman, and you can learn a lot from this guy. But we got him on right now. Scott, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing, John?
Oh, not too bad, but I really appreciate you coming on. Chris is building up your scene right now. We're getting you on there. But anyways, so has it set in? I know it's been a couple weeks now. Has AOY set in? I mean,
it has. It's been pretty surreal to say the least, but it started to sink in. It started to sink in, when it happened, but it's really sank in a lot, and it's been pretty special for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I mean,
it's been busy, but it's been great doing it.
That's right. It's always good to be busy.
That's right.
Especially when you win an AOY.
It's been good, I promise. It was a pretty special season all year long, but and you go into it, that's a goal for all anglers, no matter what level you're at. If you're fishing your local clubs or you're your Thursday nighters, or you're fishing your Bass Opens or the Elite Series, whatever you're fishing. You want to be the points champion at the end of the year, but you don't really think about it that much, or I didn't think about it that much until it got right there toward the end of the year. I led at the last 4 tournaments, so I had to think about it then. But the main goal was just to make the Classic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody starts out with at the beginning of the year. I think it's just to try to make the Classic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it builds. Well, dang, I've made Classic now, and I'm in contentions. But we've had Brandon Polinick on a couple, 2 years ago, James, I think it was, when we had him on and I accidentally spilled the beans on where he was at in AOY. He didn't want nobody telling him, but but I mean, I guess, do you really look at that? Do you try to stay away from it? Because I mean, that seems like it'd be a little more stressful if you're actually paying attention to it.
Yeah, early in the year, you don't really try to think about it a whole lot, but the competitive nature of all of us anglers, as if you're a competitor, we go into a tournament and you just want to have a good tournament. You want to get a check. You want to make that first cut and fish on Saturday. That's everybody's goal. And, you just say, man, if I can just make the cut, I've had a good tournament. And then you make that cut and you've done pretty good. You've caught a few. You might be in 25th place. And then you're thinking, man, if I can just go catch 19 tomorrow, I can make that top 10. It just gets a little better each time. And you just try to build on it and stay consistent. But as far as Angler of the Year, you didn't really think about it a whole lot going into it. At the beginning of the year, about midway through the season, I'm right there in the hunt, and I've been there the whole year, so I started thinking about it a little bit more. But it was pretty good. Everybody kept saying, man, the pressure's building, and other anglers right there behind me, they're like, man, I'm glad I'm not in your spot. You got all the pressure on you. And really and truly, I didn't. I'd like to have a big a lead as I could have, going into the final tournament. But I was pretty much at peace the whole year with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of going through looking at your stats for the year, and I mean, the lowest one I see is the Toyota Bassmaster, the Texas Fest, which was, that was a 49th. But other than that, I mean, you had top 25 finishes, Yeah,
it was a pretty special year, that when I looked at the schedule, though, the weird thing about it, when I looked at the schedule and, everybody will say, what tournament you looking forward to? What tournament you looking forward to next year? And really and truly, the answer that I always give is I'm looking forward to the next tournament. But when I did look at that schedule, there was a couple of tournaments that stood out. And Garnersville was one of them, because it was pretty close to the house. And, I could go up there, and I fished it a lot. I got a lot of history there. And, I knew lots of the ledge fishing. I knew a lot of that was going to be happening. I knew a lot of those areas because I spent a lot of time up there. And then I like Fort, because I'd only been there one time, but it was a little bit later in the year, and it was a Skeeter Owners Tournament. And I really looked forward to those two events. And it ended up being, those were my worst two events of the whole year, and that was the two that I looked forward to. And 5 of the 9 tournaments we went to, I'd never been to, and they ended up being all of my best 5 tournaments. So it's just weird how it played out.
Yeah. Well, it's it's like say the ones you go to and you're just going to go fish and try to figure it out, not really think nothing about it. You do really good, So
it works out good. That way sometimes. You fish off of instincts, and you're more free to move around. You're not trying to force anything to happen. And I tried to force it to happen at Lake Fork more than I did anywhere. Tried to catch them a way that, I caught one big one during practice, and I just thought I could catch them, flipping a big jig in trees and on docks and stuff. And it just didn't happen. I spent too much time, wasted too much time during practice and during the tournament trying to make something happen that wasn't happening. And I knew it wasn't happening.
Yeah. And especially down there in Texas, there's nothing but big, it's a lot of big fish down there, so it's like
a lot of big ones, and you didn't need, but just, if you could get 3 or 4 of those bites a day, if you get 3 or 4, and I'm talking like 7-pound class or 8-pound class fish, you get just 2 or 3 of those a day, you got a good bag. But if you catch 3 of those and then you can fill your limit with a couple of 3-pounders, you've done really good, because that slot limit didn't affect us like it does any other tournament there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's kind of talk about your season. And was it a very versatile season for you? Was you able to kind of let's start out. Let me restart that.
Yeah.
What kind of fisherman are you? Are you more versatile, or do you try to stay deep or shallow?
I mean, if I had my preference, I'd love to fish shallow pretty much the whole time, flipping and maybe square billing, throwing a spinner bait, swim jigging a lot. Just shallow power fishing is my main thing that I like to do. But that's the thing that I pride myself in the most is trying to be versatile. It really don't matter to me if I've got my flipping stick in my hand or a spinning rod. As long as I'm catching them, I'm happy. It doesn't matter how I've got to do it.
Yeah. So you say most of this year was it mainly one shallow for you this year, or how did it work out for you?
I mean, probably more of it was shallow, but I did do good. I finished third up at St. Lawrence River with a spinning rod in my hand, and I caught a lot of those fish out of. I mean, that one was one of I'm more proud of that tournament than most of them because I caught them on a spinning rod, and I caught some of those fish in 44, 46 foot of water on a drop shot, which was super deep for me that I mean, just deeper than I'd ever caught them. But, it worked out good all year long. It's pretty neat to go back and look at the whole year now. I mean, we started off at the St. Johns River and, I mean, our practice wasn't that good for I don't think it was that good for anybody. And I know it wasn't that good for me, but I found a few shell beds that had some fish on them. And I was throwing a lipless crankbait, just vibrating lipless lures like a rattle trap and stuff. And the first day I went out and done that, and it wasn't good like it was the first day of practice. I pulled up on a few of those places and catch multiple fish, and it just wasn't good during the tournament. And the fish had moved, and I knew it. But I caught 12 pounds, and I thought I was going to be okay. But I was in like 54th place the first day, and just knew that things were changing. And I didn't know where they went. I knew they was going to go shallower because it had been warm. But the second morning, they were playing the national anthem, and I had my 2 rods laid out with 2 rattle traps on it or lipless baits on them. And as soon as they did the national anthem, I looked at my marshal and I said, man, I'm just going to change up everything today. And I put those rods in the rod locker and got out my flipping stick. I said, I'm just going to go flip all day. If I don't get but 2 bites and they weigh 10 or 12 pounds, I'll be good. So, I went and flipped all day and I caught I forget, 26, 27 pounds, got on them pretty good. The next day I go back and I catch 31 pounds. So, it was just making decisions like that throughout the year that really made everything go good. And there was a time in several tournaments all year. That was the time at the St. John's. Then we went to Lanier, which was a little bit different. I had some history there with FLW and was able to, catch them pretty good. I missed the top 10 there, but there was those turning points happen throughout the year, especially at my good finishes. Like at Winyah Bay, there was another one that turned, where I made a decision and changed, and it really just turned the whole tournament around. And that's what saved my season. It happened several times throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, you hear that when you have angler year, when we have some of the angler year guys on, whether FLW, bass, even down to the smaller events, and it's always something that happens in an event that it's meant to be kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like if you wouldn't have got that fish in, your whole season would have been different. You know what I mean? Or
most definitely.
I mean, was there anything in there this year that was like that really sticks out in your mind? Like if would have been,
I mean, as far as winning angler of the year, there's so many of those. It was just like that St. John's making that decision and going and catching those fish, and then in Winyah Bay, I made a 100-mile run over the Cooper River just to fish for some bedfish that, I found them the last day of practice, and I thought I could go catch 12 pounds. When I did, I caught 11 pounds and 15 ounces the first day, and I was in the top 10. So I figured I had to go back and try it again. I caught 3 or 4 fish real late in the day, and I said, I got to go back. And I go back the second day, and, man, there were just too many people in the area I was fishing. I only caught like 7 pounds or something, maybe 8 pounds. I didn't catch much, and I fell way back to like 27th place. When the only place you could make up that ground was back over there again. So I went back to the Cooper River, but I just went further up the river than anybody else was fishing. Everybody was fishing big grass flats and stuff, and there's a back channel river we were all fishing. So I just went further up the river all the way up to the dam up there and just pretty free. I didn't have much pressure on me. Wasn't thinking about angler of the year at that time of year, but I just, I couldn't fall but 5 or 6 places, but I had a lot of ground I could make up, and I catch one of the biggest bags up there. I catch like 17 pounds. and I jump up into the top 10, and I almost come back and win that tournament. Just decisions. I caught them on a swim jig, a dirty jig swim jig that day up the river. I got up there, and the tide was real high, and I just caught one or two quick, and it keyed me in on what the fish were doing. I was catching them behind the grass where there was water. The tide was really high, so I caught them back behind the grass. The next day, on day 4, I run up there, and it's those decisions that you make, just like any of them. If I didn't make one of those decisions, I don't win Angler of the Year, because that's how tight of a battle it was. But I get up there the last day, and the tide's out. So I'm throwing a swim jig, and I didn't fish it 10 minutes. And I said, this isn't going to work, because there was no water where I was catching fish the day before. I was having to fish it out in open water. And I hadn't caught a fish the whole week on a buzzbait. And I reached in my rod locker and grabbed out my buzzbait and started throwing it. In like 5 minutes, I caught a pretty good fish. Ended up catching another really big bag. I caught a 6-pounder and a 5-pounder in like 10 minutes on a Canterbury Pro Buzz. And that was just huge over there at the Cooper River. And I caught those fish. I moved out onto the river and caught them around some coontail on places that I just marked that I hadn't even had a bite, but the tide was so low that I just started running some new stuff, and was able to make a big comeback in that tournament. Finished second in that event. There's a lot of them. We went to, they got through with that New York swing, which was I was really stressed about that one, because I was right there in the hunt. But after the first tournament at New York, I was leading Angler of the Year. Second tournament, I did good. I was still leading Angler of the Year. And then we went to 10 Killer. Day 2 of 10 Killer. I did pretty good the first day, but day 2, I was the last boat out. So I was due in at 4 o'clock. And day 2, at 3 o'clock, I had 4 spotted bass that probably didn't weigh 5 pounds. Didn't weigh 4 pounds probably, really. But the thing was that largemouth and smallmouth had to be 16 inches. And I was catching a lot of 15 and a half, even 15 and 7/8 inch fish and stuff. It just wouldn't measure. So you had to fall back on some spots to get your limit. But I had 3 or 4 offshore places. I fished one of them 3 times the first day and never caught a fish. So I run there at 3 o'clock that second day just to try to catch my limit. I pull up there. On the first cast, I catch a good keeper spot, like 1.5 pounds. And then I catch a 3-pound largemouth. And then, in 30 minutes, I catch my 5th fish, and I cull all 4 of my little tiny spots that I had. So, it was just, there was those times, like you was talking about a while ago, it was meant to be. And you can look back at it now and you can say that. You just don't know it at that point. But, yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah, it's crazy, And if you just look back, and this is anybody that's listening too, if you kind of look back and listen, if you won an event, or you talk to a guy that won the event, and some of them are like, I just caught this fish with like 30 minutes left in the day, and he had a bite. I had caught them all in the morning and have a bite the rest of the day, and all of a sudden 30 minutes in the day they catch a 5 or 6 pounder, near the boat ramp. And like I say, that's when you just, it's meant. Like, it's meant to be for them to win that event.
It definitely is. I look back at it, and I've got several of those tournaments like that Lake Fork tournament that I really was disappointed with it. It wasn't, that's one of those tournaments. That was that, Toyota Texas Fest tournament, and it paid really good all the way through the field. If you had one that you wanted to finish bad in, that was one of them, because I got a really good check for finishing 49. But you look at Gunnersville, that was my second worst finish of the year, and Matt Airy was my roommate all year, and we shared information at that tournament. Some of the places he ended up catching fish was waypoints I'd give him, and I caught a few off places he'd give me, and he was leading the tournament going into the last day. We had the exact same places. It was more of a timing deal than anything there. And, I was disappointed with that finish too. But it wasn't a bad finish. You finish in the, 21st or 22nd place. It's not a terrible finish. It didn't hurt you as much as that 49th did at Lake Fork, where I tried to force things to happen. So
yeah,
you look at those things, and then you look at it at the end of the year, and it didn't matter, but it still frustrates you that you don't make those good decisions. If the competitiveness in you gets frustrated, makes you mad anyhow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to try to do good at all of them, and
that's right.
You have an event, but you think about it as 49th. What if you'd have finished several more spots down, let's just say 60 or something, AOY might not have happened. You know what I meing?
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And I mean, it was a battle all year long. You can look at, I mean, Zaldane just wasn't going to give up. I mean, he finished second, it seemed like, in every other tournament this year. He had a heck of a year. And he had Blaylock, who won, he won that Winyah tournament, and I finished second, and he finished second in the Hartwell tournament. He had a great year. And Corey Johnson was on fire all year long. He had a great chance. I mean, it was a battle all year long. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure it was exciting and fun for all the fans. I hope it was.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely fun following it. And, and when you look back at it, it's kind of like it's in any sport, really. You look at it like, say, NASCAR or, fishing or football or any of that. It's like, especially with single person things like with NASCAR, it's up to the driver to drive your car kind of deal. But it's like, and then fishing, it's up to that one guy. But it's like when these people get in their groove for the year, they're on it. It's like they're unstoppable. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter what they do. It's going to work.
That's right. I mean, it's just you bring in NASCAR, and they've got a lot of factors that, we can't control. But if, I've been doing this a pretty good while, and if you can control, we learn things every year, and I learned some stuff this year, some factors that, maybe that I can eliminate next year. But we have to just control all the factors that we can, because there's a lot of things that we can't control in fishing. We can't control the weather and stuff, but people have, malfunctions with your boat and stuff. I mean, up the AOY tournament, I lost both my graphs on the front of the boat the first day. And that's one thing that I'm going to try to eliminate next year. Try to wire this. It's just, I blew a fuse on one, and it's just from the rough water and stuff, but I'm going to make those fuses more accessible where I can change it out on the water. And I fished all day with no graphs the first day up there, but, we have to make those decisions. I mean, I could have went in and got it fixed. It might have took an hour. It might have took 3 hours. But, when something like that happens, you just have to make the best with it and roll. It's just like NASCAR guys. They got a lot of things that they can't control, if they blow a tire or something like that. But they just have to, through practice and everything, they know how many laps they can run on a tank of gas, where the things that they can control, they don't want to run out of gas on the last turn and, lose like that. So. Yeah,
it's just amazing, like I say, just how, like when somebody gets in their groove for a year, man, it's on then, and they're unstoppable, and it's mind blowing how it works. You watch some of these events and see these other guys like constantly having good finishes, And
it happens in golf. You see it when a guy starts making good decisions, and he's got the confidence to just go out and do fishing wise. I think if you fish instinctively. If you go out and just make decisions fishing, and you don't try to force things to happen, that's the way I feel about it myself anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us, we've been stuck in a rut before where we try to plan our tournament out, the night before. I'm going to start here, and then I'm going at 9 o'clock, I'm going to here, and then I'm going. That seems to never work for me. We got to have in our mind where we're going to start, but then just sort of, let your instincts take over from there. If you're running down a lake and you see something that looks good, I try to always, if my instincts are telling me to go fish it, I usually pull in and fish it, even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes, but I still try to do that.
Yeah. Chris, you say we got a question?
Yeah, Dustin wants to know where the bass like to sit up when fishing rivers in the fall. And he says he fishes the Savannah River and wasn't sure if it's anything like the Coosa.
The Coosa River, I love fishing the Coosa. When the water starts getting cold, cooler. It don't have to get cold, but when the water gets down in right now it's still about 70 degrees, but if it'll get down in that low 60s range and the fish are really starting to put their feed bags on, I like getting up in the current this time of year. I like throwing a spinnerbait, shad imitating, and just getting around any kind of current breaks. Fish are setting up and they're really feeding up, so they're right on the current breaks, right below them in the eddy spots, just feeding up. And it's usually a really good time of year to fish. The spinnerbait's not happening. I flip a jig and just get on the bottom. You just have to figure out if the fish are up in the water column or they're down deep. And I love fishing rivers this time of year. The water's not too cold. I'll still throw a topwater, a lot of buzzbait, maybe even a spook during the day. But when it starts getting cool, fish are feeding on that shad, I love to throw spinnerbait and then flip a jig.
That's a good question. Thank you. Who sent that question in?
Dustin.
Thank you, Dustin. Well, that's going to kind of bring us to our next point. We always do an in-depth segment with our pros, and right now we're in fall. And like I said, we just started going over fall. So I'm going to turn it over to James, and he's going to go over fall fishing and, your baits and all that. But I'll turn it over to you, James.
Yeah.
All right. We kind of went over the river stuff already, but on lakes and stuff like that, what would be some of your top 5 go-to baits for fall?
I love fishing buzz baits in the fall. Buzz baits, spinner baits. That's I like covering water, and you can always slow down after you find an area that's got fish. But as long as the water's still, if it's 60 degrees or warmer, and we haven't had a huge cold front or something, I love fishing top water. And I'll fish that spinner bait up real high in the water column a lot in the fall, burning it and stuff. Just the fish are starting to move back in, the shad are starting to move back in the creeks, and you want to get back, you'll notice if they're in the first third, the middle third, or in the very backs of the creeks. And if you can find the bait fish this time of year, you can usually find fish around that area. Buzz bait, spinner bait usually can find you some fish pretty good. And then, as the water gets a little cooler, if we have some really cold nights, I love throwing flat-sided crankbaits. That's one of my favorite things to do in the fall. It's just a real shad imitate. Most of the time in the fall, we don't have the rain that we have in the spring. So the water clarity the water's a little bit cleaner. The water clarity is a lot better, and so those tight wiggle, more shad imitating baits seem to work a little bit better with a clearer water than like the square bills, the wider wobbling, more aggressive baits. I like to fish the flat-sided baits in the fall as long as the water color is good and clear.
On your spinner baits, what blade combinations do you run normally?
Normally, I throw a double willow. Most of the time, this time of year in the springtime, I'll fish, a tandem blades, but mostly in the fall, I throw a double willow, try to keep it up high in the water column. I'm looking for some pretty good aggressive bites. Fishing seawalls a lot if you're on a reservoir that has a lot of seawalls and stuff. It's just something where fish they position where they can chase shad. The shad can't escape from them. If they get them up against a seawall, they're able to feed pretty good, especially early in the mornings. Anytime there's shade on those walls, it's really good. But yeah, I like a double willow in the fall more than anything. And buzz bait, I throw a black one a lot during the year, but during the fall, I like to throw a white one a lot more. It just seems like that once the fish really get on a shad pattern, that white seems to get a few more bites. So that's the buzz bait and spinner bait deal.
On the spinner bait deal, your blade color combination, which one do you pick most of?
In the fall like this, usually if we have that clear water, I throw 2 nickel blades or just silver blades and just stick with that. And usually it's a pretty, I don't run really big blades in the fall. The fish are usually feeding on this year's hatch, which is still pretty small. And it seems to work really good. In the springtime, I use a lot bigger blades and, go with off-colored blades because of the water color a little bit more.
Okay. Josh, did you have any questions that you wanted to add?
Now, a lot of mine, when it comes to topwater fishing, especially like you're talking about buzz baits and stuff like that, what is your line combination with topwater baits like that? Do you still go mono, or do you start go with fluorocarbon a lot of that?
No, on a buzz bait, I fish a buzz bait probably more than anybody on tour. I don't know that, but probably if the water's over 52 degrees, I'll throw a buzz bait. I designed that Canterbury Pro Buzz from Dirty Jigs Tackle 6 or 7 years ago. I finished second in the Forest Wood Cup twice throwing that buzz bait. And, I've won a lot of money throwing a buzz bait. So, and everybody's got their go-tos, and a lot of people still like monofilament, but I just use a little softer rod with a lot more tip than a lot of people use. But I usually throw mine on 30 or 40 pound braid for the hookup ratio. And that softer rod will let me play them a little bit more, where some people think they lose a few fish on braid. But instead of using a monofilament that has a little stretch, I use a softer rod that gives me a little bit more play of the fish too.
Yeah, I understand that. That's kind of like, with certain top waters I use on the river and all that. I'll go with braid, but I use a softer tip rod. Like it's a frogging rod, so it's got a softer tip, but it's got a good backbone to it.
That's right.
So you can horse them.
In the fall, I like to, you got to have a backup bait, a follow-up bait if you get some fish to blow up on a buzz bait or something. And I throw a fluke a lot in the fall just because of the bait imitation. And, I throw it on monofilament always. And the main reason of that is because I want it to be able to sink when I stop it, pause it. I want it to be able to sink a little faster. So I use, I'll throw 17-pound monofilament. Fluorocarbon. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Always throw fluorocarbon on my fluke.
Yeah. Now, do you I see some people back and forth using spinning rods with flukes and bait casted and all that. I know I use a bait caster on my fluke because when some of them big fish hit, when some of them big fish hit, man, they're aggressive when they hit that fluke.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I use a bait caster. And I used to, and probably still do miss some fish on it and lose a few fish on a fluke, but it's because of the thickness of the bait and how much plastic you have on the hook. So I use a rod that's got a pretty good bit of backbone so I can get a hook into them too.
Now, kind of going back with your button, James, I didn't want to interrupt you. Did you have anything else before I went any further with the buzz bait?
That's exactly the same thing I had to do with the fluke at the national championship.
Yeah.
Remember, I was throwing a lighter rod, and I just couldn't get the hookup ratio. So then I switched up the second day, and it was a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that too with certain baits. Like if I'm throwing a fluke up under a dock, I go with a heavier rod for one, getting them out. You know what I mean? Getting them out of there. But if I'm throwing them over points and all that stuff, I always go with just like a weightless worm rod from Falcon that we use. But works really well with that. But like I said, I know what James is talking about. Missing fish sometimes. I think that's how it is. They hit it in the rod. You don't have enough time to really lay into the hook on them. The rod's so soft.
Yeah. And it's different, like he made an adjustment there, and that's good to be able to do that, to make those adjustments according to how the fish are hitting the bait, like you're talking about.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to your buzz baits, it's a lot of these buzz baits coming out with the, putting the frogs on them and all that stuff. Do you throw stuff like that during the fall too, or are you trying to keep with the frog when they're more towards the summer? Does it even really matter?
No, I throw a frog on it a lot. And that's the bait that I designed. Actually, Dirty Jigs Tackle, I think, was probably, I'm not saying it was the first one that we used, because a lot of people was using a frog on it before that. The North Carolina guys, Andy Morgan or Andy Montgomery and some guys were doing that before most people. But Dirty Jigs Tackle was the first one to come out with that buzz bait designed to hold a frog on it. And that's the bait. That's the one that I designed with them. And, a lot of times in the fall, I'll put like a dipper style bait on it, or a fluke on it, a swim bait on it, and it seems to work really good that in the fall. It's just a little smaller profile than that, putting a toad on it. I designed the bait back when we came out with that bait. I was with Bruiser Baits when we came out with that buzz bait, and I designed a single body bait, single tail, it's a wider body bait like a toad, but it was more of a bait fish imitation with 2 legs on it. And so
wow.
I still like a plastic on it. I think the hookup ratio is better. I throw ones with skirt on it a lot, but if I can get them to bite one that's a plastic body instead of a skirt, I think the hookup ratio is better. So I throw, swim baits and flukes and a frog on it a lot in the fall.
Now, do you when it comes to your color, do you keep it kind of simple? I know a lot of people, it's black, white, and white and chartreuse. Do you kind of keep it that simple?
Pretty much, yeah. I use a white one with a silver blade, a black with a black blade, or I will, the bait fish, when the swim baits and stuff that I put on it doesn't really matter. But there's been several times that I've caught them on a green pumpkin or something. But that's just when you're on bluegill, like you have a green pumpkin toad with dip the feet chartreuse or something. But that's about the only 3 colors I throw.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, man, on the in-depth there. And guys, hope y'all were taking notes. Chris, we got any more questions right now?
No, not right now.
Okay. Want to go into this coming up Elite Series, with the schedule being out and all that. What are you looking forward to? Like I said, I know people asked you earlier, you're talking about just each event, but what is one lake that really sticks out next year that y'all are going to that you're really excited about?
I hate to say it, but, really looking forward, and everybody that's in it's looking forward to the Classic especially. But, that's one thing. It's right. It's Gunnersville. It's an hour I'm about an hour and a half away from Gunnersville, but it's somewhere that I fish a lot. So I'm looking forward to that one. But the season, our regular season events are unbelievable next year. It's going to be big fish factory after big fish factory. I mean, if you don't catch 20 pounds, it seems like you're just going to get left behind. I mean, we're starting back off at St. John's, which is going to be phenomenal. We have Chickamauga right after that, which there'll be some absolute giants weighed in. That's a tough time of year, I think, at Chickamauga as far as catching numbers. If we're fishing there the second week of February or so. But somebody will probably catch a 13-pounder in that tournament. I mean, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a good one. We go to Santee Cooper. That's where I've had the biggest bag I've ever weighed in. I caught in a Costa event there. I had 5 fish that weighed like 32.11, I think, one day. So, there's a lot of good big fish events that we're going to have. I'm excited about all of them. We go to Eufaula, and that's somewhere that I fished a lot over the years, being from Alabama. And I've sort of lost touch with it, but I'm really looking forward to that event. If I had to pick one on the regular season schedule, I would probably say Eufaula. Just looking forward to that one. I've lost touch with it over the years, but I mean, I'm hoping I can get it back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the season next year. It looks like they got some good stuff on the calendar, and like I say, it's going to be some big fish factories. That's something I've always liked about bass is they schedule them lakes right. You know what I mean? Where
yeah, they do a good job scheduling. We go to some great fisheries, and they throw in some new ones. I mean, I really enjoyed this season. I've been doing this about 12 years, and you sort of get in a rut going back to lake after lake, that you've been to. But like I said, 5 of those lakes that we fished this year, I'd never been to. Next year, it's not that way. We got some tournaments, some lakes on that I hadn't been to in a while. We get to go to Champlain next year. I fished there several times. I'm excited about that event. But we get to go to the Sabine River, which, some people don't like. But I'm really looking forward to that event. If you can get on something, it could be a tough tournament. And those tough tournaments, if you can get on something just a little bit special, they're the ones that you can really do good in. I mean, sort of like Winyah Bay was this year. I mean, I left a lot on the table at Winyah Bay. I finished second in that event, but that was a real I'll take second every day. But when I look back at that tournament, that was a that was one that I feel like I should have won that tournament now for sure. Like I said, I was making that long run. I had to get gas on the way and on the way back. And day one of that tournament, I made it back, and I had 40 minutes left to fish when I got back, and you're basically in salt water. You don't have anything to fish. I just wasted the last 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Day two, the wind blew like 25 or 30, and everybody talked about how rough it was going to be. You're going to have 6-footers, and it's going to take 2 hours to get back. So I leave a little early with that day, and I mean, I'm running that Skeeter Yamaha. I'm running a 21-footer. I mean, I got back with 45 minutes left that second day. And then I sort of got it down the last 2 days. But I left 2 hours of fishing time over there at the Cooper River where I could have made one more cull. I only lost that tournament by 8 ounces, and I weighed in 7 pounds the second day. So definitely looking back at it, I left something on the table there.
Yeah, when you do 45 minutes one day and 40 minutes one day, all that adds up. Look at the cast that you could have made.
Sure. I mean, if I would have spent some time and found a little area close to the launch, maybe that I could have caught a couple of fish, it would have been okay. But I really didn't have nothing. I spent my time over there, and if I would have timed it a little better and got back 10 minutes early, I think with an extra hour of fishing, if I can just upgrade one time, you win that tournament.
Exactly. Exactly. Well. Got one more question for you, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but with everything coming in with MLF and FLW, what is your thoughts on it? I know you're not fishing it, but just as an angler's standpoint and being a competitive angler, what is your thoughts on all that, and do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's going to be something big for FLW, or?
I've got a lot of friends over there, and I think it's going to, from what people have said, I think it's definitely going to help them out for a little while. But, I don't want to get into the MLF and all that, but, I think it could be good. I don't know how people are going to look at it, because you got some great fishermen on FLW. You got great fishermen in MLF. You got great fishermen at Bass. I mean, And it's just a matter of, if people look at it now at FLW, it's like, are those guys trying to qualify to go to Bass Pro Tour off of the FLW? Now are they considered like fishing the Bass Opens or the Costa Series because you're still trying to qualify for another series or something like that? I mean, and I haven't really, I've talked to a bunch of them because they're my buddies, but if it stays separate and they run it right, it could be good. It could really be good for the industry. I've got a lot of friends at Bass Pro Tour, and I think they've done some great things, and they've done some things that the fans necessarily don't care for. Yeah. But they've done a lot of things that the fans really like. So, you're not ever going to make everybody happy. Mm-mm. It's just a matter of making the ones you can happy, and I think that Bass did a great job this year. I'm really thankful for the opportunity I have to be over there, and, for sure, I say that now. I won Angler of the Year, but I mean, even after the very first tournament, I said it. I mean, at the St. Johns River, the very first tournament we have of the regular season, day 3 and 4 at the weigh-ins, the huge field, 1,000 people out here cheering. It's the biggest crowd that you've seen at a regular event fishing. I mean, I've been to 10 Forest Wood Cups. Now, we have big crowds in FLW, but the crowd at the regular tournaments just didn't compare to what they had down there. There was people across the street on top of buildings holding up big signs and stuff. So the stage presence and everything at Bass, I was just tickled to death. And I knew it after the very first tournament that I was where I really needed to be, and just blessed to be there.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I say, we have mixed emotions about it all, but I think it's so new that everybody's just got to kind of sit back and say, hey, let's see what happens kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, too. I mean, I know that, back Major League Fishing, when those guys were still fishing bass and FLW, and then they had those Major League Fishing events, it was a little different when they only had, 12 guys or whatever in an event, and each one of them had a camera, and they didn't have practice. That's what a lot of fans, I think, liked, is that they didn't have practice, and they got to see them go through their motions of really trying to figure out a lake.
Yeah.
Well, now then, they only have 10 cameras and there's 40 guys out there fishing. A lot of times they don't even get to see the guy that's leading the tournament after the first period when he's catching tons of fish, and it's just different. And once they get it dialed in, I think it could be a really good thing. It's just a matter of, getting what the fans like and getting everybody's perspective.
That's right. Yeah, I think the sports has still got a lot of growing. And
oh yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, the sport it's unbelievable, the growth that we had in the last few years. I mean, I'm a boat captain when I'm at home for high school fishing for my Vermont, Moody High School. I take them guys fishing, and that high school fishing has gotten huge in Alabama, and it's all over the country. But there's a tournament every weekend or every other weekend. I have 200 boats in it in high school fishing, and it would have more if they would allow it. College fishing has grown. It's unbelievable what they've done. I mean, you can look at the guys that come from college that are now fishing the elites or the Bass Pro Tour. I mean, you got the Lee brothers, and you can just keep naming them. There's tons of guys that came through those routes and ranked so high in college fishing, and look where they're at now.
Well, that's what me and James always talk about it. If they had the bass fishing teams like now that, when we was in high school, I probably wouldn't have goofed off as much and actually worked hard at it. And then these kids are getting scholarships to some of these big colleges for fishing now. So like
they are, they are. I'm not bragging on it. I went to the University of Alabama, but I didn't graduate. That's what I'm saying. Not bragging that I didn't graduate. I wish I would have, but went to Alabama for about a year and a half, and I got my boat down there and started goofing off for fishing instead of going to class a little bit. But it worked out for me. It doesn't work out for everybody.
Yeah.
And, but if we would have had college fishing, I'm sure I'd have a degree in something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would have too. Me and James both. It'd been crazy, but
yeah, no doubt.
I'd have tried really hard.
If we'd have had college fishing, I'd have probably got on that 6-year program.
Yeah, no lie. Was James, you got any more questions for Scott before we let him
go? Not right now, no.
Well, Scott, man, I really appreciate you coming on, bud. I
appreciate the opportunity anytime.
It's an honor to talk to the Bassmaster Elite Series AOY.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing you down at the Classic. We'll be down there doing some coverage for that. So look forward to seeing you down there and hopefully get you a W.
Yeah, I hope so. And I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be a really good event. It's going to be some big fish brought in, and it's going to be exciting for the fans, just like the whole season's going to be. It's going to be looking forward to the year. 2020 is going to be awesome for Bassmaster Elite Series.
Yeah, and I was talking to James that we're going to have to really learn some of these new guys. Like I keep up with it, but still trying to figure out who everybody is. It ain't the big names, which these guys will be big names. But
we've got a lot that's going to be big names for sure.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys out there. There's a lot of different guys in Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia that I've fished against over the years that if they had the opportunity and got the right break or something, they could compete with anybody.
Yep.
I said it my whole career coming from Alabama. I said, man, if you could fish the trails that we have in Alabama and not just your home lake be competitive on, but you can be competitive every week in and week out throughout Alabama, as tough as it is, you can compete against anybody. And you can look at the guys that are from Alabama and tell that are fishing the Elite Series or the Bass Pro Tour. There's several of them now. And it's just a great diversity of fishermen and a great diversity of fisheries that we have. We're able to, learn a lot. And, we still learn a lot as we travel too. I had to learn about smallmouth fishing after, I started. So, but it's been good, and I've been really blessed and had a great career to start to it, and hopefully I can keep doing it for a long time.
That's right. And this is just, I think, one of AOYs that you'll be getting. I think just looking back at your records, I think you're going to have a good time over the Classics and a good career over in the Elite Series. So
I appreciate that.
Well, Scott, I appreciate you coming on again tonight, man, and look forward to hopefully having you on again after the Classic, after you win. So just good luck to you. All right, Scott.
I'm always available. I appreciate it. And anybody wants to keep up just on social media, it's Canterbury Fishing too. So I appreciate that.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it, man. You have a good one.
Thank you.
See you, buddy.
See.
All right. I'll tell you what, man. I've been going through watching some of the videos with Scott Canterbury and just, preparing for this show. And me and James was talking before the show and going over his fall fishing. He did a great article on Bassmasters. If you can go in there, and I think it's top 3, top 5, something like that, fall baits. And, last couple shows we've done, fall is a phenomenal topwater time. That's why we was kind of going over that more with Scott, because fall is a time you can throw a buzzbait all day long and catch fish, if you got the right scenario. So, but you can also run down the bank with crankbaits and spinner baits, and it's just so many. Any way you want to really catch them, you just about can during the fall. So
that's true.
I mean, it's just a phenomenal time, and but I don't think they get as messed up with fronts in the fall as they do in the spring, but you can do a lot of junk fishing in the fall and really figure out something and catch some really nice fish. They're feeding up, they're getting ready for the winter time, and you can about catch them anywhere. I mean, if you like fishing points, you can about catch them on points. If you like going to fish in the creeks, fishing shallow, you can fish shallow and catch them in the back creek. So it's a time where it's a good time if you can stand not being in a tree stand for a day or two and go fishing, it's a good time to be on the water.
Yep.
So, but yeah, Scott, I really appreciate him coming on tonight. He's a really great guy, really nice guy. Just talking with him back and forth in the last 2 days, texting, just he'll sit there and talk with you fishing, the whole time you're trying to, set everything up. He's just a really happy guy, there's no issues whatsoever. So, but I think he's going to have a really great career in the Elite Series. And I was just looking here. I mean, this is going to be his first Bassmasters Classic. I thought he's been one of the time, but I guess it's where he just come over to Bass. He's fished opens and stuff, but I thought for sure he was at the Classic one time. So this will be awesome to see. It's going to be a lot of guys at the Bassmasters Classic this year. That was their first Classic. So, looking forward to it, because Ott Defoe, he's pre-qualified.
Will be there.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that they're going to still allow all that to go on since he's fishing another. I mean, he still should.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, they. I would say they have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'll be back. So that'll be a familiar face there, you know, and Chris Zaldane and Seth Fighter and all of them. You know, they'll be familiar faces in there. But it's a lot of new guys in there. We really got to learn, you know, who they are and all that. You know, I know when we used to sit at the table. I remember our first classic, which was Houston when me and you went.
Yep.
My very first one was when I went to Hartwell, but then when we started at OneObjective, it was the Houston tournament, and you're just sitting there in awe of all these guys coming in, you know, in the media room. You're like, oh man, there's Brandon Polinick. Oh man, you know, you can name them. Now we're gonna be like, God darn, who is that guy? You know. So, but we'll learn them, and everybody's gonna learn these guys' names. There's some guys in there that are just really good, and it's like Scott said, that just didn't have the opportunity to make it. You know, didn't have the money or didn't have the opportunity, didn't finish well. So, you know, when a lot of these guys went to MLF or the Bass Pro Tour, it opened the door wide open. So a lot of guys, you know, imagine being there, you know, you finished 20th in points and you fished all the events and you're like, man, I didn't make it. And then all of a sudden all that breaks loose and then you're like, hey, you want to come fish the elites? What do you do, man? I mean, like, that's scrounging for money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Babe, we got to sell some stuff.
Yep. Selling the house.
Yeah, we got to move in a camper.
Yeah.
But, but anyways, trying to think of something else I wanted to add. There was something I wanted to talk about tonight and kind of just totally forgot all about it. But anyways, guys, y'all can go to OneObjectiveBF.com if y'all want to check out all our videos that we've done. I've been slow. I mean, we don't have all of our videos on there, but a lot of our newest shows we've been doing, I've been putting up there. Some of our rigging videos I've been putting up there. It's several things on there. You can go on there and just click through all our videos. We've got our shows. I'm also going to break this down. So I'll have this show posted, but then I'm also going to break it down to the in-depth segment with Scott.
We'll edit James's sneeze out.
Yeah, we'll edit James's sneeze out.
Golly.
That's why I was looking at you earlier. You was opening that pack of fruit snacks, man.
I don't know if anybody heard that or not. I just wanted some fruit snacks.
Yeah.
To be quiet.
I guess the urge hit him, man. All I hear is...
I got a whole tub of snacks here.
I was like, good Lord, what are you doing, man?
I mean, I have a whole tub of snacks that I bring with me here. So
we don't feed them here at the house.
Yeah. He's got to bring his own lunchbox.
Yeah. Hope you brought your lunch today, your snack box today. It's gonna be a long one. But now we got some videos gonna be coming up. Me and James been talking about it. Chris talking about it. We want to start posting every Thursday, but right now we're trying to build up a few things so we can start sticking with that schedule. That's the main thing we want to do. Is what is Jason Hensley? He wants to know what we got behind the desk. Oh God, I don't even want to get into that one. Yeah. But we're looking at posting on Thursday nights our normal like how-to videos, fishing videos, all that. But guys, please, let us know what kind of videos you're looking into. I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of kayaking stuff because that's what we do now. But we're also going to be getting out doing more fishing videos. I think that's something where we fought on OneObjective side. But the funny thing is we wanted to do it, but last year we were either fishing tournaments, which we didn't want to mess with cameras. I just get out there and I don't even care to mess with them anymore. I just want to catch fish and try to win. So that's why we decided this year coming up not to fish in their tournaments. So, like I say, we might do a couple because we want to get Chris into some of them with the Virginia Kayak Bass Challenge. But we just decided not to. We just want to go film. Yeah. We'll have Chris holding the camera for us, and we'll let him catch a couple fish.
We'll try not to drop it in the water.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, you'll be holding that one, so we might have to put a leash on your hand or something with that camera. Yeah. But now, so we got some things we're gonna be working on. We're gonna be doing some more how-to stuff. So guys, if there's anything y'all want us to shoot a video on, always feel free to email us, send us a message, or whatever. So, but James, I know that we was talking earlier about some things coming out. What about the RS stuff? I mean, when are we thinking? Maybe next month we should start having some products coming out of RS. Do you think that's a fair time frame?
Should be.
Yeah.
It should be.
We're working on we got some good ideas for it, anyways. So, looking forward to seeing some stuff come out for RS. The limited editions from Bonafides have been coming out. They've been shipping out.
Yeah, I seen a guy got his tiki today or yesterday.
Yeah. Have you seen the one guy on Instagram or it's Facebook on one of the Bonafide things? He got the spider, the Black Widow.
He has his truck painted like it.
Yeah,
he did his trailer that way too.
Yeah, and then when he opens his doors up, it's got the spider that shines down on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's gone all out, man.
Yeah, he was it one of the Harbor Freight trailers and powder coated it black and done red on it too to match his truck and his trailer.
Oh yeah, he's hardcore. That's pretty cool though. It looks awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks awesome. But it's hardcore. So, but yeah, they're shipping out to everybody. We're looking forward to getting our Fusion. We'll be doing some setup videos on that. That's one we'll be doing the Bonafide complete install video. I say Bonafide, I'm sorry. OneObjective motor mount install video. So that video will be coming out soon. We had somebody say something the other day about, how come we ain't done a video on it? Well, we haven't actually had a complete install kit yet that we sell. So we're working on that right now. So we'll be having that, doing a video on that as well. But also, man, I'm looking forward for next year of building a river boat. Just a river boat. James, we talked about earlier. We was talking about the RS, just building a straight river boat.
Yep.
And I think, we ain't going to go real complex with it. You know what I mean? It ain't going to be no crazy graphs. And, I mean, look at our Bonafides right now. I love how they're set up. They're awesome. They're a perfect lake boat, but the way we got it set up, we can fish rivers, no problem. But you just got all the graphs and all that stuff when you got to take off sometimes and this and that. I just want the ultimate.
Something you can throw up in the trailer and take off in.
Yep.
You got to worry about it.
Keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking.
You can do that with the RS. I ain't going to make it real heavy. We can just, if you want to drag a daggone thing down there real quick, it's easy. Yeah. One person to do it. So
no motor?
No motor. I don't know. There's some things we're working on.
I knew.
It just depends on where we're at.
It'll be able to have a motor.
Yeah.
Yeah. It won't be all in depth on, the way we have ours rigged out, but it'd be a lot easier system.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, we got to put a torpedo on it. We got to see what kind of speeds we're getting out of there with our mount. You know what I mean? So, looking forward to that. And we did have some questions, James. I wanted to go over that real quick. People was talking about the short shaft on the torpedo. What do you think on that? We've seen the video somebody shared to us on that. Do you think our mount's going to be compatible with the short shaft on the torpedo, or are we going to have to make some adjustments for that?
I think we're going to have to make some adjustments.
Yeah. Yeah, just looking at the one video, that thing was all the way down, and it was still kind of blowing out water.
Yep.
So taking off is going to be a pain in the neck. You know what I mean? Because it's going to take forever for that thing to finally grab.
Yeah.
So, and then it didn't still, when it started getting faster, it didn't look like it was still grabbing that well. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's made for the longer shaft torpedo, so we'll have to do some changing around.
Yeah, and that'll be a little while. Like we got so many other fires in the burner there. I don't know how long it'll be before we get to any of that. So, but anyways, Chris, we got anything else coming through right there? What's everybody saying?
Casey Watson says Armstrong power.
Armstrong power. What you talking about?
Yep.
Armstrong? Oh, paddling.
Yeah.
No way, man.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Well, I ain't even putting a motor on when I go fishing with it because I don't want to take off. You know what I mean?
Well, you can pull me.
I could do that. But I want you to work for it. I want you to work for them. I want you to work for them smallmouth like we had to work for when we first started out in it. So, but no, yeah, I do. I actually do enjoy paddling. I mean, it is fun. But when some of those trips that me and James have took, and I probably will be pulling you next year, not unless we get a motor on your boat through the winter. Yeah. Is that one trip we take? It's right at 3 miles up the river. So
we put in the other week. We really couldn't. You really couldn't use your motor. It would have hit most of the time.
Yeah, you would have beat it all to pieces.
Yeah.
So and the float that we did with the church during the summer, when we put in downtown Lynchburg and floated down towards Mount Athos, you could use it here and there, and it did come in handy. I had to actually go back and rescue Matthew when he got hung up sideways, and it is a little rapid. It wasn't nothing major, but for a kid, he was kind of freaking a little bit. So. I had to use that, but I had it trimmed all the way up, man. That's the cool part about the actuator on it. I had that dude all the way up. You could hear it blowing water out, but she was still eating up that river, So it was like a little jet boat getting up the rapids there. So, but was able to get up there and get him and use it here and there through the river. But like I say, when it got too shallow, we wouldn't have been able to use it anyways. But where me and James was going, you could get up there and take the motor out and put it up in the front, and then just drag your boat. But you still can use your power pole.
Yeah.
So when you're in the rapids, you just hit your power pole and hold your boat, and we've got it tied off to the front of us. So it ain't like you're having to hold all that weight of the boat, which is good. That's why I keep telling you that your best investment this winter
power pole
will be your power pole.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody. Me and James tell everybody that. Years ago, I used to laugh. Well, a couple years ago, I laughed. James told me, that power pole's stupid. You'll never need that thing on there. Man, I'm like, I'd never. That's why I didn't want to take your RS out much this year, because I ain't got a power pole on it. Yeah. So, that thing spoiled me, man. It has spoiled me. So, but other than that, guys, I really don't have too much more to add. James, you got anything else you want us to add to it tonight?
Not right now.
I know
that I can come up with.
I know you was kind of caught off guard tonight because y'all were doing the haunted thing and you fell asleep, and all of a sudden James was like, "Hey man, is it still too late for me to come on?"
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been a lot going on, and from now on through the holidays, it's going to be kind of week to week on what we do with the show. It's not going to be a set schedule. Because of guests, and everybody's going here hunting. There's a lot of them going on hunting trips, and we're trying to stay with a lot of the kayak guys, elite guys, FLW, MLF, all that stuff. So, as of right now, I mean, I plan on having a show next weekend. Just depends on what kind of guests we can get. So, but other than that, guys, we'll talk to you guys later. Let us know what y'all think about the studio in the comments. If y'all like it, if y'all like this setup, if the sound was good, if we need to change anything. So just let us know in the comments below, or you can email them to us at oneobjectivebf@gmail.com. Go check out our website, oneobjectivebf.com, and then also you can check us out on our social medias, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and that's about it all we're mainly on. So, and then also, I talked about it in the last show, this is the last thing I'm going to add, we are on 4 different apps for your podcasts. So you got Spotify, you got... man, why did it just hit me? iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. So you can go on all there. Anywhere you like to go, pretty much download your podcast. That's where we're going to be at. The top ones there. So make sure you go check us out there, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel for videos we got coming up here in the future, and hit that bell button so you get notified every time we put a new video up. Guys, we'll talk to you later. James, you have a good night and good week, and I'll be talking with you later, buddy.
All right, you too.
Thank y'all.
All right, everyone.
Talk to y'all later.
See ya.